Okay.
Now expect the unexpectable.
It's too funny because now there's the King of England.
Order, who does he think he is?
I'm your king.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
You don't vote for kings.
Well, how'd you become king then?
The Lady of the Lake, her arm clad in the purest shimmering samite, held aloft Excalibur from the bosom of the water, signifying by divine providence that I, Arthur, was to carry Excalibur. That is why I'm your king.
Listen, strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government. Supreme executive power derives from a mandate from the masses, not from some farcical aquatic ceremony.
Be quiet!
Oh, but you can't expect to wield supreme executive power just because some watery tart threw a sword at you.
Shut up!
Oh, but if I went round saying I was an emperor, just because some moistened bint had lobbed a scimitar at me, they'd put me away.
Shut up! Will you shut up?
Ah, now we see the violence inherent in the system.
The British East India Company was no longer needed, as the bank became a more effective way of handling dirty money. The BEIC dissolved just 7 years after the foundation of HSBC. The relationship between Freemasonry and the British East India Company proved to be the mechanism in which the opium trade would be possible. Thus was established the beginning of the Masonic network and the illegal drug trade.
Some of these protesters are armed, Anderson, so you have to worry about the potential for bloodshed, the potential for violence. Bloodshed, violence, that's peaceful. Bloodshed, violence, that's peaceful. Bloodshed, violence, that's peaceful.
The fact that each US president's record, without exception, would earn them seats in the dock at Nuremberg or at the International Criminal Court on genocide charges doesn't prevent the royal family from honoring them.
One very big idea.
For by an ironic twist, each president morphs into George III, against whom their forebears fought. They declare wars on a whim, they're tyrannical plutocrats, and they imprison their own people without trial.
Colonies.
So 2 presidents are made knights of the Queen's crooked table, George H.W. Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan, both guilty of war crimes in Nicaragua and El Salvador and misguidedly bombing Iraq and then Libya. Next comes Colin Powell, who presented some talcum powder to the UN, claiming it was anthrax and thus a pretext for war. Now Sir Colin is a knight, the man who covered up the My Lai massacre, the man who torched Vietnamese villages with his Zippo lighter. We burned down the thatched huts, Powell confessed, starting the blaze with Ronson and Zippo lighters. Why were we torching houses and destroying crops? Ho Chi Minh had said his people were like the sea, in which gorillas swam. We try to solve the problem by making the whole sea uninhabitable. In the hard logic of war, what difference did it make if you shot your enemy or starved him to death? Sir Colin Powell, supervisor of turkey shoots as Iraqi soldiers tried to retreat from Basra and were fried, betrayed Dr. King's nonviolence, preferring the craven acceptance of a bauble from Great Britain's Queen. Another royal investiture was held for the US General Tommy Franks, who oversaw the looting of hospitals in Baghdad and whose forces thought it fun to fire on Iraqi ambulances. Sir Tommy now joins these sorry knights of a twisted table, where Kissinger is a knight commander of the most distinguished order of St. Michael and of St. George, though Sir Henry is neither angelic nor has he killed any dragons. but he has only napalmed peasant farmers in fields. And should anyone be inclined to study Kissinger's nobility any further, he is so inured to genocide that he once advised Nixon, if they put Jews into gas chambers in the Soviet Union, it is not an American concern. Yet, they're singled out by the monarch for aggrandizement. These characters, who've remained unchanged since the time of the Roman historian Tacitus, who said, they plunder, they slaughter, and they steal.
700 years ago, if someone had come to Oxford and stood here and said, I think everyone should be allowed to read the Bible, even peasants, that person would have been described as offensive.
Hi there, thanks for having me today. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for 25 years, research and development.
So what's the next step? Maybe the next step is we can send
one of them is short, which are the crisp. You put that in quotes so that we can change your cells and turn you into something you wouldn't otherwise be. So in this way, any technologies like really form a definite basis for future motion.
These are things that are investigated. Every technology has the potential for good or evil, and who defines what's good and what's evil, and who uses it for what purpose.
Mind control. Mind control.
What is going on?
Offensive. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Seriously, misperceptions.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech.
Mind control.